Well, welcome back to This is Business. You've got Adrian hosting today. Now, I've got a really interesting conversation today, probably something that is not spoken about all that much, but that is what happens when you want to buy a business and what happens when you want to sell a business and where the heck do you go? And so I thought, who better to talk to than Kieran, who's the founder of businesssales.com.au. So he'll explain it. What did you explain it as?
It's kind of like car sales, but for businesses.
There you go. Very simple. So we're going to have a chat about all things business, predominantly really targeting that small, medium enterprise. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation. So stick with us. We'll be back right after this. Kieran.
Yeah.
Hello, mate.
Hey, mate. Nice to see you again.
We've known each other for a little while, so it's not in this context, though.
No, it's good to see you here, mate.
See you here, and soon on the interwebs.
Yeah.
Kieran, talk to us. businesssales.com.au. Yeah. You're the founder. What the heck is it?
Okay, so it's really, we describe it as it's like car sales, but for businesses.
Yeah.
So if you want to sell a car, you go to car sales. If you want to sell a business or buy a business, that's what we created business sales to be. So really, how this started was me and my co-founders were sitting around and we were kind of frustrated at all the smoke and mirrors and it's so hard to buy a business. You can't get good information. You can't, and it's hard to sell a business, right? And so we built a platform that we kind of wish somebody else had to make that process smoother. So you we can get into all the stats and all the things. We're talking even before this around what actually determines, like some of the statistics around Australia has this many businesses started and this many businesses stopped. We can get into some of those stats, but from a top line, the majority of the people listing on your portal or marketplace or whatever you call it, website, what is the kind of, if there was one thing that they're trying to achieve, is it most people are trying to buy a business or most people are trying to get out of business? Certainly more buyers than sellers.
Interesting.
Which kind of makes sense, right? Like if you go to think about even, say, buying a house, right? Like
I wouldn't have put it that way.
Really?
Yeah.
No, it's definitely
how interesting. Yeah.
Definitely more buyers than sellers at the moment.
And by like a long percentage. So is it like 2-1? Is it 3-1?
I'd be way more.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it comes back to, not everyone will. Like not everyone that goes to an open house is going to buy the house, right?
Yes.
Like obviously there's only one person who can buy at the end. So you typically, this depends on the industry as well. Some industries are really popular. But yeah, typically you'll have many more buyers than sellers.
Interesting.
I should also say that buyers look at multiple businesses, right?
True.
And so, you see that in data.
What industry is listing businesses at a higher rate than others?
So
I'm going to guess hospitality.
Yeah. Well, hospitality will win on raw numbers purely because there are more hospitality businesses.
Yeah.
If you look at kind of adjusting for how many there are, online businesses are quite popular.
Yeah.
Bookkeeping and accounting businesses are extremely popular. They don't last very long. So typically when you look at the platform, you don't see many. And that's because they sell really fast.
Because people are buying the books.
Yeah, correct.
Interesting.
A lot of professional services are pretty quick to sell.
Interesting. So for someone listening to this that is a business owner and they're thinking either they want to grow, and so you could do that by either growing your client base, doing the lead generation sales pipeline, or you acquire a business with existing customers, or they want to sell their business and they want to get the heck out of the thing. Why should they keep listening?
I guess we're going to talk about a whole bunch of interesting stats and I guess how to do that better. There's a whole I think one of the sayings I quite like is, success takes many different patterns, but often the mistakes are the same.
Yes.
And so I guess we're going to cover off a lot of the common mistakes and how to avoid them. So I guess if you are thinking of buying or selling, that would be and obviously that's what we're going to talk about. And make sure that it does go well for you, because it is a skill and it is something that you probably don't do that often.
Probably never. Like once maybe in your life?
Yeah, most people will probably sell one business, maybe two. And so that's where you've got professional brokerages who do this all the time, and people we see this constantly, of people coming in
and knowing how to sell a business properly. And confidentiality is massive in that, and in how you sell a business. You don't necessarily want your staff to find out immediately and spend the next, freaking out, right? And they spend all the time standing around talking about, oh, what if the new owner sucks, or what if the new owner does this, or what if, right? And instead of actually focusing on your customers and doing a good job, right? So we would typically see most business sales are confidential for that reason. It's just so distracting.
Yep. Okay, let's get in some stats and then let's expand on this. So I'm just going to read heaps and then we can unpack it. So Australia logged 430,000, 37,150 new business entries and 370,500 exits last year. So an exit rate of 13.9%, which I know you have something to say about that. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Only 51.6% of new businesses make it to year 5.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? Again,
somewhat.
Listings dropped about 7%, but valuations still climbed roughly 4%. Supply's tight, demand is steady. And 1 in 3 buyers targets boomer-owned businesses because the owners want out, not because the businesses are broken. Small operators make up 97.2% of all Australian businesses, which we know most do not have a clear exit plan, which we want to talk about. So let's talk about some of these things. Now, when it says we've had, round numbers, 400,000 new businesses and 300,000 exits, you told me before that's not actually entirely true.
So the way that data is measured from the ABS is they measure if you've got an ABN and it's registered for GST and it closes. But if you sell your business, let's take, for example, a simple cafe, one of the risks for a buyer is that you have some staff member comes out of the woodwork and goes, 3 years ago, you didn't pay my super properly, right? And if you buy the entity, that's your problem.
Yes.
If you buy the assets,
of course,
so the trading name and the asset, then it's the old entity's problem. So when a business sale happens, that creates a new ABN.
Yeah.
And so that counts as an exit, even though the actual underlying business carries on.
Okay.
Similarly, if you start as a sole trader and then, business is going well, you convert that over and you become a proprietary limited, your sole trader ABN is shut down and you get a new ABN. So that counts as an exit.
So they could go failed business, inverted commas, when in fact you've actually expanded and you're doing great.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you start off as a sole trader, your business is going well, you move it to a proprietary limited or you change the ownership structure, that counts as an exit. And so it is so it's a bit overstated because of that. And
interesting.
It's also really difficult to quantify the number of businesses where that occurs. It's just not tracked.
Because nobody's asking the question. Okay.
But if you talk to a small business owner and you're like, hey, how many of you started as a sole trader and you changed your entity or you went to a trading trust or you went to a proprietary limited, most business owners are like, yeah, I did that.
Yes.
And so
because you've got the $75,000 mark where you have to then convert to GST and register that, and then you keep going up. You want a tax benefit.
Yeah, exactly. Even asset protection, right? You want to put cars through and all of that. So it's pretty common, I think, for people who start a small business. Typically, you get started, sole traders, easy, and then you kind of, as you grow, you might.
Your accountant says,
"Hey,
you could pay less tax if you do this."
Yeah, time to fix this up, right? Yeah. And so that's when you see, an ABN. And again, if a business is sold, in most cases, for smaller businesses, you'll do that as an asset sale, and that will be a ABN will close and a new ABN will be created.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm also interested in, and I think our listeners, everyone talks about this kind of 5-year mark where businesses fail. Now, statistically, and we know this to be pretty true, when someone lists a business on business sales, do you track whether it's like a distress sale, whether it's because it's at its height and they want to kind of cash in? What would you say is the main reason for people listing? And if you have the data, I'm interested to know whether these businesses are pre-5-year or post-5-year as a majority.
Sure. So we don't have clean data on the pre and post-5-year. That's not a question that we collect, but it's a good idea. I think I might have that.
Interesting.
In terms of reason for selling, so interestingly, our number one reason for selling, we asked this, is moving. Which I think is probably partly...
So geo-located businesses, like you're a pest control here.
Yep.
And you're moving away.
You run a cafe and you now want to move to be close to the family or whatever. You can't take it with you. And so that's actually the number one. Then it's I think then it goes to the next two are pretty close. So they kind of bounce around for 2 and 3 is health and retirement. And then just because I feel like doing something new is number 4.
Just over it.
Yeah.
And wow, I have so many questions about this because I just find it interesting. I got a friend who buys, let's term them boomer businesses.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a common play. Yeah.
And the goal is add technology and scale the thing, make it more efficient, and then that's you just get a cash rich, and often can do with vendor finance. So maybe actually before I start diving into these, let's talk about some of the ways that you can. Some of the ways that deals are structured. Let's talk about you want to sell your business.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a listener here and they're a cafe and they go, you know what, I want to sell my business because for whatever reason.
Yep.
What do you do?
So first thing to decide is if you want to sell it yourself or if you want to hire a broker or a professional to sell it for you.
Yeah.
Similar, I guess, if you think about a house, you can put your house on the market. You can go through like no agent or kind of Purple Bricks if they're still around. You can sell it yourself, or you can hire a real estate agent. So same concept, right? Because you're probably not most business owners haven't sold a business before. It can be a bit daunting.
Yeah.
So hiring a professional can definitely be a good idea.
Go to businesssales.com.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like we can definitely. So this is not a pitch for us. We're not like the professional, right? In the same way that I guess it's like saying you don't call realestate.com.au to, they're not your real estate agent, right? It's going to be someone in your area or in your industry who understands it. But we definitely can help you to kind of go, okay, is this a actual professional broker or is this someone who you probably shouldn't be selling businesses? Because like all professionals, there's good ones and there's bad ones. So
should we name them?
Lawsuit waiting to happen. So that'll be the first thing is like, do you want to do it yourself or do you want to get some help? And kind of once you've decided that kind of sets up the next step. So we can have a conversation. Anyone can, pretty easy to find me online. More than happy to help you decide on that. I guess once you've decided that, then you start to get the business ready for sale. And it's really understanding what are the opportunities in your business. Like if a new owner came in, what could they do to improve it? And so one example that comes to mind is there was a cafe and it was there's often like a small set of competitive cafes, right? There might be a couple and if you're working in an office, you're not going to go 25 minutes to get a coffee. It's, kind of fairly geographically bounded. And this buyer, and his goal was to find the cafe with the worst coffee in that little set because he was like, I can fix that. Like,
that's a good point.
I know how to create. I know how to train staff. I know how to make good coffee, right? So let's find the one where the food's good, the location's good, people come in spite of the coffee, not because of it. And so found that business, purchased it, and within a couple of weeks, or day one actually, new machine came in, new supplier came in. Like I said, like the steam wand was broken on the old one. Like just, whatever. So all that kit was gone and it was fixed, right? So within a couple of weeks, he had the staff trained up and ready to go. Coffee was drastically improved. So then he went to all the local offices and did free coffee for a week. One office by office. And he trained his staff to learn people's names, learn their orders.
Perfect.
Basic 101, right?
This is good.
And what happened was that all these people who kind of knew, that place doesn't do good coffee, they suddenly were like, actually, the coffee's great now. And so he massively increased the turnover, increased the profitability of the business by structuring it by finding a business where the existing weakness was his strength.
Yeah, okay.
And so as a business owner looking to sell, one of the things that we see is people try to hide all of that and go, okay, the things that you're not good at, but there is actually, you got to pitch it right, but saying, hey, this is an opportunity. This is an area of growth that we haven't explored. And as a buyer, you're kind of looking for that. What are my skill sets? What can I bring? Because you want to increase the business, right? So you don't stuff up the things that are working, but focus on areas for growth.
And I guess that plays in because the next thing is people are going to say, well, how much is my business worth? And so getting a proper valuation, understanding, hospitality multipliers or like valuations are very different to an electrician versus a car dealership and versus something with a lot of stock or whatever. So that's key because if you're a cafe and you're like, let's say you're doing $100,000 a year and you think your cafe is worth $1 million.
Well, I mean, it's pretty quick to do the math on that and go, well, that's a 10% return, and you can get that by putting your money in an index fund and never having to do any and not doing any work. So why would I take the risk?
Yeah, and work.
Yeah, the risk and the work, right, to get the same as an index fund. That doesn't seem so. You can,
so you got to be realistic.
Yeah, totally.
Like if someone, do you see a lot of? Obviously, that's why you go a broker too, because they can help you through the valuation, understand the books, understand where you're bleeding money, which is going to be compelling to some buyers because they can plug holes. Yeah. Where you have a lot of staff and maybe they can reduce staff, get some efficiencies in the business and increase some profit margin. So it's a really interesting point because most people that go in to sell their business aren't thinking about some of the weaknesses in there as being a great strength and helping you get an additional multiplier or an additional valuation to the right buyer that can go, okay, well, actually I have 5 other cafes and I can just put stock in here and so, your stock levels are irrelevant to me. Yeah. Like all these different things. And so I think it's a pretty good argument to use a broker, especially in business. Yeah. Because there's so many moving parts.
One of the other interesting things that comes up is, as all your business owners know, right? Like running a business is hard. It's busy.
I thought it's very easy.
Just feet up on the table and
no sleepless nights.
No, I've never come across a business owner who works in the business and then goes home, works on the books and constantly thinking about it. No, that doesn't happen, right? Yeah. But back in the real world, if you are running a business, like selling does take time. You have to meet with buyers. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to ask for documents. They've got to explain things. You're probably going to have questions about your P&L. And so having a broker to kind of help buffer that and who can answer those questions, it does take pressure off you. And
the emotional strain of it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot.
One of the things that will scare a buyer, if your business is on the market and they start to see revenue go down or profits go down over time, that will be a red flag as to, well, why is this? Now, that could just be that you're so busy trying to run the business and run the sale that you're distracted and take your eye off the ball. Yeah. And so that's where a broker can be really good in taking that pressure off you so that you can continue to run the business and keep your profits and revenue, keep it running well during the sale process. I think that is something that is underappreciated about having a good professional broker help you. Yeah. And again, I use the term professional broker. There are
not just your mate.
Correct.
Who could give it a crack.
Yeah, definitely. There's a interesting story, or I think it's interesting, like of a mate at the pub told a business owner that his business wasn't sellable because it didn't have contracts with all of its customers, which is seems like a reasonable kind of thing to say in some industries, but this was in commercial cleaning. Like these guys do like office cleans, right? And the whole industry runs on handshakes.
Yes.
I don't know anyone who you go you
sign this 5-year agreement,
15-page contract with your local doctor's surgery to back in, right? Like these things that run on handshakes and you do a good job, they pay the invoices, right? Yes. And the business sold for over $300,000, which was sure it's not going to buy you a mansion in Sydney, but if you had to choose between $0 and firing all your staff, letting all your customers down, having those hard conversations, and having a new $300,000 caravan, as it turned out. I know which one I'd pick.
That's pretty decent.
There is something to be said for the legacy of handing a business over, knowing that your customers are going to be taken care of, your staff are going to still have jobs, the community that, like I think about the small businesses that I frequent, and there is something to be said to see that continue. And so I think as an owner, like that is something that's also underappreciated. It's great to see small business continue to thrive under your ownership.
Whilst we stay on selling a business, what's the biggest mistake that you see owners make when they decide to sell?
There's probably 2. One is not understanding adjustments to your financials. Yeah. And second is breaching confidentiality too early.
Adjustments being they get distracted and revenue goes down?
No, adjustments meaning like if you have, use a simple example, like let's just say like your personal life insurance running through the business, or your car,
yes.
right? The classic example would be like if you're on a cafe and the business pays for your car. Do you need a car to run a cafe? No, like you're not, unless you're probably not, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we'd call an adjustment. You would add that back to your profitability because it's not it's not required to run the business.
New owner may not need a car lease for deliveries or
totally.
All that kind of stuff.
Or more likely, it's just the owner's personal vehicle, right? Or your wife's car, or your mum's car, or your dad's car, or your dog's car, whoever, right? Like often business owners will have the profit for tax and the profit for like what is core to run the business aren't the same, right?
That's a very good call out.
And so making sure that you get someone who can properly adjust your financials to be what is the underlying profit? What is, if you were to run this at arm's length, if there's no, even like depreciation, right? You buy a new fridge, right? In your accounting standards, you can depreciate that in year one, but realistically, we know a fridge is probably going to last you more than 12 months.
Yeah.
And so doing those adjustments correctly to figure out what your actual profit is. Because you talk about multiple, but if you put the multiple on the wrong profit, well, you're going to get the wrong answer on what your business is worth.
It's such a good insight because like even one of my mates, he all his gym memberships, all his insurances, he pays his wife to do social media.
Yeah.
Like, does she? Who knows? There's a lot of perks in his P&L.
Yeah.
And so that actually becomes a really healthy conversation to go, like, you've had a really great lifestyle running this business, but also it means that it makes the numbers look even better.
Yeah.
Because you're not spending that much.
Totally.
And that's cool.
Yeah. Or like the classic example would be like a tradie running around in a, top of the line truck when you could
Ford
probably
Raptor.
Yeah, right. And you could probably do that in a normal two-wheel. Like it's just like the handyman rocking a four-wheel drive, rocking a Raptor, and you go look at it, and it's got the scrub bars, and he's got the full rooftop down, and all the gear, and you're like, mate, you're changing door handles. Do you really need this? And so.
Which is a perk when you're running the business.
Totally, right? And totally legitimate, save your tax, great. But coming into when you try to sell it, you kind of need to adjust for that.
Yeah.
And so that you can compare two businesses to go, okay, what is the underlying profit? What is this thing actually going to put in the pocket of the new owner? What's that look like? Yeah. And that's the real question. What's the new owner actually going to achieve?
Yeah.
And so when you think about adjusting your financials, if you want to like a rule of thumb, there's standards on how to do it. But basically, it's like, what is this business going to put in the pocket of the new owner?
Yeah. So first one was financial changes or whatever you called it.
Adjustments.
Second was?
Confidentiality.
Oh, yes.
So this is...
bugger it, I'm over it. Tell all your staff you're going to sell the thing and that kills your business.
Yeah, totally. And your landlord starts to worry. One of the best examples I've seen of this was a wedding planner, like a wedding hire kind of business, right? And they told everyone, we're thinking of selling. And it totally killed the business because everyone was like, well, I'm booking for my wedding, 6-9 months in the future.
You're going to be here.
You're going to be, right?
Yep.
What if the new owner's crap? What if, right? Yep. And humans hate uncertainty, right? Like it's just how we're wired.
Yeah.
And so if you ask all these staff members, and particularly in hospitality where a lot of your staff members typically are a bit younger, they've never been through it before, they have no idea, they start to wonder, what if I lose my job? And so what then happens is your good staff members leave because they can get jobs anywhere, and your bad staff members stay, and they spend more time worrying about their jobs than actually doing their jobs. And so
it's so many times.
It's such a negative cycle.
Yeah.
And then you get your suppliers start to worry and they change the terms, but the big one is customers, right?
Yeah.
Like if your customers start to lose faith in your business, then
you're in strife.
Yeah. Versus the alternative, which is you find a buyer, you do the work, and they're ready to go, and most buyers are actually quite reasonable.
Yeah.
And so then you have a conversation, and when you introduce it to your staff, you say, hey, we're going to, I'm moving away. This is the new owner. They're going to answer, and they start to ask questions. What about my annual leave? Well, that actually carries over. And what about this? And what about all of these questions you can answer with a new buyer there. And they go, what if the new buyer's a jerk? Well, he's right here. You can ask some questions, get to meet him, right? And typically what actually happens is when you buy a business, you actually have, like the new owner has to learn how it runs. And that's going to come from the staff. So actually, as a staff member, often the new owner is great because they're going to bring fresh energy and go, hey, what are the problems that I can solve for you to make your experience as a staff member? How do we make this business better? Oh, well, we've got this manual process over here that's so annoying. Well, let's fix it. And so there's a lot of new energy that comes in. So, but getting that wrong can create and it puts more pressure on your business. Your financial results start to go down, and that scares off buyers. So
and that's stressful.
Yeah. So definitely confidentiality is key.
Okay. Before we go to a break,
sure.
If someone is listening to this and they're thinking, you know what, in the next 3 years, I'm really thinking about selling my business or whatever the time period. Let's run through the happy path in terms of what is the best process to go through that just makes it a much more seamless thing to do versus the alternative which was spoken about. So what are the steps that someone should take to give this the best shot? Let's just step it out.
Sure. Okay. So first step is to have a plan.
And sorry, on that, if someone's like thinking, okay, in the next 5 years, should they start now? Is it the next 3 years? Is it the next 12 months?
The classic consultant answer, it depends. So if you need, you need to move, you have health challenges, or there's some kind of external factor,
of course,
you don't have that time.
Yeah.
And so you got to work with what you got. If you do have the luxury of time, then really what buyers want is a business that they know is not going to be dependent on you.
Yes.
So if there was a single thing you can do to make your business more valuable, it's take a 2-week holiday where you don't answer the phone.
And see what happens.
Yeah. If you can do that, that is gold for your business.
Okay.
And so that's kind of my rule of thumb is to what do you need to improve in your business? Try it. Go away.
And replace yourself is kind of step one.
Yeah. You don't even need to replace yourself, but you need the business to be able to run enough that you don't have to be there, that you're not chief firefighter, that the staff can, and again, if we use the hospitality example, if you're really busy and you're running low on milk, do you have to get the milk? Or can your staff figure this out?
Yes.
If your staff can figure it out, that's a better business.
Yeah.
And if your staff know how to contact a supplier and get your stock ordered in and to manage those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So that's the key, is that if there was one thing, that's the gold standard. The second thing would be to kind of work on your processes. So making your business run smoother.
When this happens, it's documented. A new owner could come in and go, okay, I know how that process works.
Yep. Yeah. And documentation is great, but you can't just write it and shove it in a folder and have no one look at it. Yep. It's can your team actually follow it? Do they know, is it used? Is it in play? And that's ultimately, I mentioned it before, right? People wanted to buy the boom of business. And that's really the model, is to come in and find these inefficiencies and these spots and to with fresh energy, fix them up. And so, that would be, so if you were to think about on a 5-year plan, you're probably going to start with conversation. If you have a target I need to sell my business for $1 million. Okay, well, you need to work backwards. What does it need to be generating in terms of profit?
Yeah.
What do you need to do to get the profit there? And so actually a conversation with a broker can be really helpful to be like, hey, in this industry, in my location, if I want $1 million, what's my profit need to be at? And then you can kind of work with your accountant or your broker or an advisor to kind of step up. All right, how do we get to that approach?
Yes.
And you really want to have that locked in 12 months before, so that you can see a full year of generating that result
in your financials.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So, we've got, think about, can the business run without me?
Yep.
So if you are the guy in the truck doing the pest control, and you're the only guy in the truck doing the pest control, it makes it difficult unless you're buying the client book. Anyway, let's not make it complicated.
Yeah.
Second is having a plan and making sure there's financials 12 months.
Yep.
So thinking about that, and the process, in the middle of that, making sure process is clear. 12-month time frame. So even if you're thinking of selling now, you've got 12 months to get your books up to scratch.
Well, a buyer's going to come in and they're going to ask to see your financials.
Yeah.
And they're going to value your business based on what the results that it's generating.
Yeah.
And so they're going to ask you to see your previous 12 months financials. They're probably going to ask you for the last 3 years financials.
Yeah.
And obviously that puts us November
25,
right? So that means you're November 22, right? So you can probably argue a little bit. You're probably still a little bit COVID affected in.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years, you're kind of going to be like, they're going to say, hey, what is this business?
Is it up? Is it down? Is it flat? Yeah.
Yeah. What does it actually generate? And so having that. So anything that you do, any improvements that you make, need some time to flow through.
Yeah.
One of the classic it's often easy to talk about the potholes, right? So one of the things that we've seen people do is 3 months before they want to put or a month before they want to put the business on the market, they'll go to a whole new brand refresh, new website, all of this, right? So don't do that.
Because they think that's going to be more appealing to the business, to the potential buyer and whatever.
But all the buyer's going to see is an expense on your P&L called marketing or website design, and so your profit's going to go down, but you don't have time to see if that actually worked.
Yeah.
And the buyer may have a different view. Maybe they like blue instead of purple, right?
Yeah.
And so you're going to love the new brand, but it's not about you. And so all they're going to see is expense, and unless you have the best redesign in history, it generally doesn't pay off in 1 month payback period, right?
Yes.
As business owners, we know how to plan for long term.
Yeah.
But that store, don't do that.
Yeah.
Put it in the opportunities bucket, and this is something that the new buyer can do.
Yeah. Okay. So think ahead, work backwards, get your process right, make sure the business can run without you to some extent. Financials are obviously going to be key to sell on that. And then the key for me in this takeaway for if you're trying to sell your business is really working with a broker, because often you think and I like that you don't compare it to a real estate agent, even though you did, but often they're not as trusted because they're out. But brokers really are to help you maximize the value, and real estate say that too, but maximize the value. And they know the market, they know what's sold, they know what people are going to do. They might have a buyer lined up that's like, this guy or girl is trying to buy hospitality businesses in this area. He's bought 3 others and he's trying to expand. So,
I'll use the coffee example that I mentioned before, right? It's a good example of if you have that conversation with say you are that cafe, right? You go, hey, I know my coffee's not up to scratch, and I know that's the problem. And you go talk to a broker and go, actually, I've got somebody who's been looking for a business just like yours. So yeah, if you want to get a better price, for sure, you can do the work over a couple of years to fix that, improve the profit. You can do all that work yourself. You're going to get a better value. Yeah. Or if you want to move on now, there's an opportunity to. And obviously this should make sense to every business owner, right? If your business is more profitable, you're going to get a better price for it. Yeah. Obviously, that makes sense. But it's up to you whether you decide that work is worth it, or whether you go on to a different opportunity. So, if you do want to sell, there's no real downside to having that conversation.
Okay. Let's go to a break, and then after this, I want to flip it. I want to talk about some of the opportunities that has been said if you're trying to buy a business, and then also some of the ways that you can think about buying a business and all the options you have. So we'll go to break and we'll be back.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. But if you want guidance tailored to your situation, head to moneypodcast.com.au and click Get Help. We'll connect you with one of our trusted professionals, financial advisors and mortgage brokers, who work with people right across Australia. No matter where you are, they can help. Now, before we get back to the show, a quick reminder to protect your financial life. That means having income protection sorted. It means having death cover if there's any debt or dependents relying on you. It means getting your personal insurance in order. Most people insure their car, they insure their house, but what about themselves? Sky Wealth, who support this podcast, are specialist financial advisors who can help you get the right cover in place. Their advice is often more comprehensive and better value than going direct through your super. Book a complimentary 15-minute chat at sky.com.au. That's skye.com.au. And they'll point you in the right direction.
We've talked all about the seller, and if you're trying to sell your business, some of the steps you can do. So if you've skipped ahead, go back and listen to that. So there's a few things that you can do. Let's talk about the opportunity, because I said at the start of this, one of my mates, he on purpose goes to buy businesses that he thinks are underperforming. Yep. He can add some technology. So he's now got 5 stores in a particular brand. Yep. And by doing that, he's been able to save some money in those, make them more efficient, and realize some profit gain out of that. And so if you are looking to buy a business right now, talk to me. What are you seeing?
I mean, it's a great, I think it's personally, I think it's a great time. I think it's really exciting. Obviously, AI is fantastic for improving efficiency. And so coming into a business where they've been running a long time, they've got, one of the advantages of buying in a business is you've got customers who like the service.
Yeah.
There's always an opportunity to improve that. But if you go into a business that has customers that has who keep coming back, even in like retail, which is typically you wouldn't say that's a recurring income, but if you can show customers keep coming back, clearly they're doing something right. And the opportunity to bring new efficiencies with new tech tools, I think that is a great opportunity to improve businesses, improve the operational efficiency, and that means increasing the profit, right?
Yeah.
Every dollar of expenses that you save is a dollar in additional profit.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a great. I don't think there's ever been a better time to deploy tech into business, and with AR tools, I think that's it's fantastic.
Are you seeing? Do you track the age of the person selling the company?
No, that's not something that we track. That's another interesting one to get.
Because like we talk and we term it boomer business.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to know, like on your platform, what age, because like, for instance, if there is a bunch of 35-year-olds that are listing businesses and this is just the way they flip businesses like they flip houses, like that's an interesting stat.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool, because I think about if I had more time, what I would do to buy businesses and flip them. And then, but if they're 70, like that's an interesting stat. Like, are they actually boomer businesses, or are they just people that get sick of it and they hit the 40-year-old midlife crisis or something? So anyway, there you go. There's another one for you. So of the businesses that are listing, where do you see the most opportunity at the moment? You said hospitality, just by virtue of scale and volume, there are more of them.
Yeah.
But where are the little like buyers that are coming to your platform that you just think that's a very cool little play?
Yeah, sweet. So I think anything B2B is a better opportunity, because if you're actually the best example of a business, the one that I tried to buy personally, the one that got away was this guy.
Talk to me.
They sold on buses. When you push the button to tell the bus to stop.
A little stop button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How good's that? Best thing ever, right? Imagine if you can't send your bus out with that broken. But
so they just fix the stop.
They just sell them. They sell them to the mechanics, right? So you say like often in buses work in large fleets and whatever, right? So you generally have an in-house mechanic and, hey, I got this bus, the button's broken, I need a new one. I don't know how much bus costs, $500,000. You can't send it out, right? So when you need that button, I want it express freighted. I mean, you're not worried about the price, right?
And then you could hire people to break the buttons.
Look, we don't need to go into conspiracy corner. But that and interestingly, the other thing with buses is actually the left-hand mirror.
Because it hits cars or whatever.
Hits stop signs, and often because the buses have to pull over right into the bus stop. There's overhanging branches, and so
so interesting. The unsexy businesses that are actually great opportunities.
We had this buyer once who we were talking to about what he was looking for, and he's like, really what I want when I walk into a business is I want ideally a landline with like a notepad next to it. He's like, if I see and that's their order taking system. It's like, that is golden. Because
the opportunity.
Right? And if your customers are like your business so much, they are prepared to pick up the phone and place orders over on a phone and you write it down. Like, there's so much opportunity to improve the efficiency of that business, but the revenue's there, right? And as small business owners, we know that it's much easier to retain a customer than it is to get a new one. And so you can do that by buying a business. You've already got customers there. And it's on you as the business owner to retain them. But that's a much easier problem, in my view, than starting from scratch and trying to get customers. So that is definitely something that I think is
that is cool.
Great opportunity in business.
This is all hypothetical, and we are not experts in how to structure deals. We are not. You have a finance license at some level, but I don't. You get anyway. You're more qualified.
I'm a registered business valuer, and
Are you?
I am. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So let's say you are a tradie who has just finished your trade, and you want to go out on your own.
Yeah.
And you think, you know what? Why don't I go and actually think about a business that I could accumulate or acquire a customer base. Maybe tradie is not the right. Anyway, let's
talk tradie. I've got a great story. Let's go.
You know where I'm heading with this.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of ways that you can start a business.
Yeah.
You can either go, okay, I'm going to go and now I'm going to go start build my customer base.
Yeah.
It's Adrian Smith construction and I go around door knocks, send magnets, do all the kind of things you do. There's referrals, blah, 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 blah. The alternative is to look at a business that has an existing customer base, revenue, like we've talked about, customers that are paying for something, and go to the owner that's wanting out and say, okay, I'll buy it from you, but you don't have cash.
Yeah.
So do you have a story that aligns with this?
I mean, there's like vendor finance is one of the options.
Yeah.
But in
what is vendor finance?
Okay. Vendor finance is where the seller of the business, which is typically termed the vendor, it gives you or finances you in. So let's say that they are selling the business for I don't know, a couple $100,000. They will essentially lend you the money to purchase that business,
and so, you pay it out of the profit of the business moving forward.
Well, there's two structures in this, but one is you pay it out however you have to deal with it, and the other is the profits pay the business off, and so that would be called in pure vendor finance. It doesn't if you buy the business and you tank it because you never answer the phone, that's your problem, and the vendor gets paid. The other one is what's called an earn-out, which is where it's tied to the future profitability of the business. And for the seller, an earn-out is much more risky. Because if you buy a business and then you never answer the phone and you do a terrible job and let's use like you're an electrician, you install the lights and they don't turn on, right? You're going to lose the business. So
there's no guarantee in an earn-out. Because there are like gateways to X amount of dollars.
Yeah. So for a seller, you're asking them you're asking the seller to bet on you as the new owner.
Yeah.
And so there is risk attached to that.
Yeah.
Versus a bank or more traditional finance.
Yeah. Tell me a story about construction.
All right. So one of the things that people say is like construction is it's easier to start up. There's not that much goodwill and it's hard to sell a business. And to some extent, sure, it's easier to sell a business where a SaaS based app, whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
But there's this business and they installed fences, right?
It's a great business.
Awesome. But it was a single guy, tradie, had an apprentice, relatively small scale kind of operation. And again, got told, mate, business isn't worth anything. Asked us for a second opinion. We were like, okay, well, tell us about your business. And one of the questions we often ask is, where do customers come from? Like, how do you get work?
Yeah.
And it turns out that, it wasn't this, but let's just say he owned the domain. It was like locationfencing.com.au, right?
Perfect.
He got like 6 or 7 calls a day from people wanting quotes. He was just constantly flat out, right? So he basically had his pick of all the work. And so his margins were great. I'm like, mate, do you think someone who's starting a fencing business, like, would you like 6 people to call you a day asking for quotes? Like, of course you would.
Yeah.
And so actually the value in this business wasn't tied to, the tools and, your ute's worth this. None of that really mattered. In fact, he actually kept all of it.
Interesting.
What he sold was the phone number and the website. Because that's the
lead gen.
Right. And as we all know, it's hard, like getting customers is one of the hardest parts of business. And so that I look at that story and I often talk about it because it's a great analysis of what is the driver of value in your business.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's profit, but sometimes it's just the fact that you have a customer engine. And so if you are in the trades, like think about that, right? Like, because that's what a new owner is if you're going to start a business, right, day one, you're a builder, okay, what am I doing today? Where's the work come from? And if you've got that funnel ready to go, which you see in like services like accounting, lawyers, what typically happens is they'll have a staff member who will work for them and eventually they'll buy in and they'll become, that's where partnership comes from. And then the older partners retire and they hand the business on to, or they sell the business on to the staff members coming up. And I think that that's something that does also applies, right? If you're selling professional services, which is whether that's building or accounting, I think they are in the same category. And so having someone that you can train and what your customers get is someone who they can trust is going to continue to do a great job, and what your staff member who buys in gets is the customer pipeline.
Yeah, that's right.
And
it's a great story.
Yeah,
lead gen.
Right. It's
there's everything. Like we work with a lot of, like in my company, we work with a lot of lead generation companies.
Yeah.
Because that is what most businesses struggle with. How do I generate work?
Yeah.
because they're too busy doing the work. So this guy has just fluked it somehow to generate more work than he is actually able to keep up with.
Yeah.
And so he can just be like, oh, I'll do 2 fences this week, or but the flow of leads is actually the thing that sustains him. So that's where the value is. Yeah. So it's amazing to call that out. For most businesses, they get too stuck in installing fences and then think, okay, now I've installed this fence. Now I need to find the next fence.
Yeah. But coming back to, as a buyer, understanding where the value is and what you're looking for in a business, and if you've got if you're in a manufacturing, right, and you've got gear that's running at 60% of capacity, if you're looking to buy a business, right, it's not so much about the gear that they've got, because you've got capacity on your own gear, right? What you're looking for is to buy customers, or if you find that, hey, I can't take on new customers because my gear's maxed out, finding a business that's at underutilization might be the go. So understanding what you're looking for as a buyer is critical. So
I am in this little business community, and these 2 brothers just started a scaffolding company, and they've never been a scaffolder in their life.
Yep.
They're both finance background is one and marketing background or something. The reason they started a scaffolding company was not even for the scaffolding, although that generates good money. It was because they found a need for exceptional facades on the scaffolding.
Yeah, okay.
And so they are the ones that design these incredible, when you see a business wrapped, you don't want to see the scaffolding, you want to see, the future projected image of that architecture or whatever it is.
Awesome.
And so their business, although it is a scaffolding business, they make more money in the facade wrap than they do in the scaffolding.
Awesome.
It's just a means to get to that. And so it was, I enjoyed chatting to them, because I was like, how did you come up with this? And well, we knew what the actual need was, and they're in Brisbane and they have these beautiful new construction sites going up, but they just looked awful from the outside. And so it's a high luxury apartment building, but it looks like trash the whole way through. And so they found the gap. The means to get there was scaffolding.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. They're like, I don't know the first thing about scaffolding. Well, I do now, but they just had to hire all these guys that were excellent scaffolders, pay them exceptionally well, because they knew they could make money over here in the facade. And so I was chatting to a friend, and they were like, oh, I'm looking to buy a business. I'm like, you've got to think about these opportunities. And like we've been talking about, it's not about the fencing. It's about the fact that you've got 50 leads a week coming in. Yeah. And you could, whether you can service them, you could then sell them to another fencing company.
Yeah. You can, there's so many opportunities, what you can do with that.
Yeah.
But and it's recognizing the asset and the value. We talked about on the sell side, right, how to get your business ready, but on the buy side, it's very much being very clear-eyed about what value, what you are buying. And I think that's super critical. Because it's not always the current, it's not always just the current profit.
Yes.
You'll get that, but understanding how, what's your plan to grow the business.
Yeah.
And if we go back to the guys, you're talking about who buy booming businesses, really what they're looking at is they're trying to buy inefficiency.
Yes.
And go, okay, your inefficiency is my opportunity to improve it. I've got the skills to improve it. And to some extent then, they don't really even need to grow top line.
No.
Right? Because it's all just operations. So if you are thinking about buying a business and you've got lots of operational skill, you don't necessarily want to buy one that is, you buy a business that's run really poorly. Yes. You know how to fix that. Don't go to buy the business that's run really well and you're like, this is great. This is so, because the problem that you need to solve in that business to grow it is actually a marketing or a growth problem. Whereas if you come out of marketing and you've got that skill set and you know how to grow a business, well, you want to get one that operates well. So don't try to take on a new challenge for your first business, right? If you're
we all have examples of our favorite takeaway shop that's just run horrendously, but you just go there because chips probably taste good because but looking at businesses to go, what is the opportunity to go, oh, well, if I had an app and a ticketing system and a register or, self-serve, there's all these opportunities where you can go, I could make this front end more efficient.
Yeah.
And you don't actually need to solve whether customers walk in or not. You just solve the operation, like you're saying, reduce some of the costings, make it a better experience. Now I want to go out and buy a fencing company. I do not have the time for that. Cool. As we wrap, I think this has been super helpful, especially for small, medium business that are thinking, A, how do we expand?
Yeah.
So looking for opportunities where you as a company are really strong in onboarding or whatever it might be, looking for another asset where you can buy a client book and it's irrelevant actually how they operate, but you can get a good client base, or you could make it improve by blah, blah, blah. But also, I think for people that are selling, because I was reading some stats in the lead up to this, just people that are in that frame of mind to go in the next 5 years, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
And we've got a large population of, use that term, boomer businesses that are in that age group now. And you should add that to your platform. And so we can make this a factual statement.
Yeah, get a tick box. Is this a boomer business?
But they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And they end up just selling it, cents on the dollar because they get tired and it's an emotional journey. Like, start thinking about and work backwards from that. If it's a 5-year, know what you got to do this year. If it's a 3-year, know what you got to do this year, and so on and so forth. So as your parting wisdom, we talked about if someone was to listen to this, what would they take away? What would you say to someone? What's your parting words to those in business?
I think biggest thing would be, like, if you have a business, right, and it provides for your family, and you've had a good, if your business has been around a while and you've done well, like, I would say that it's definitely saleable. And so there is definitely I guess one of the things that I see most common is people go, oh, my business isn't saleable. And as a business owner, you can tend to see all the problems, right? You're in the weeds, of the issues, and every business has issues, right? Like I've never found a perfect business.
No.
But if you have customers who keep coming back, who like your service, who and the business is provided for your family, then chances are it's going to provide for somebody else's. And so that would be my thinking is, if you are in that boat, you've got a business, definitely have a conversation about selling it, because there's two things, and this is probably a bit more personal and a bit more touchy-feely, which is not where I live as a normal nerd and data guy.
Come on now.
But I still remember the restaurant where I asked my now wife of 11 years to, our first date, right? I remember that. That it still exists, Cafe in Newcastle. That's part of our community. And so to see businesses and be handed over, pass the baton on to a new owner is irrespective of the financial reward and all of that for, all the time that you've put into it. That's great. But for your community to be able to see these businesses continue to thrive and have a next generation, it is something that is probably something that I wasn't expecting when we started this, is just how much that actually matters, and to see that handover happen is fantastic. So it is, it's not on the hardcore mathematics business valuation side.
Very emotive.
But it is, to see that.
It's a thing.
Right? And there is a deep sense of satisfaction I've found in talking to business owners. When you sell your business, you hand it over to a new owner who's going to come in, and they may, it will change obviously, right? Only constant in life can change. But to see the staff that you've come who rely on you, and the customers who rely on you, and to hand that over it's awesome. And so, yes, it's hard. Yes, businesses are often hard, and there's always hard things. But it is really rewarding to see that happen. So
I actually want to push out the end, because there's this one really interesting point that you made, and it is like why you get into business and the way that you structure a business is really key. Like a lifestyle business where you go, for me, the most important thing is spending time with my family, having enough money to do, whatever it is. And so my business needs to, so it's a lifestyle business where your truck is through it and your caravan is through it and everything's pushed through it. It's an amazing lifestyle business, very saleable because other people are looking for lifestyle business. If you're like, I'm in tech and you're in tech, and so you go, the big play here is like, well, I don't know if this is your driver, but definitely in my world, how do we build this asset to scale it as fast as possible to get the big exit at the end? And like it's a big gamble. It may or may not come, but still saleable if you're kind of reasonable in your valuation.
Yeah.
It's still saleable. But then there's also like these big corporates where you just want to work in a job, you're a number, who really cares, but you turn up and go home and you don't think about business after 5. So being really clear about what is the goal for your business, I think helps go a long way in whether you're buying or selling a business, to understand like this is the purpose of the business for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the huge $1 million exit.
Yeah.
Or it could be. But being really clear on that.
Yeah. And being really clear when you're explaining your business to a potential buyer, just being clear on why is it done this way.
Yeah.
And you can saying hey, like, yeah, there's I don't quote on every job or whatever. Like going, I don't need to. It's a very valid answer.
Yeah, because for me this works.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, well if it works for you like that, then I can see this, and this is going to work even better for me.
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty compelling conversation.
Yeah. I think it's a great conversation. And yeah,
that's pretty good.
It's fantastic. I that is one of the parts of my job that I enjoy the most. Is seeing that happen, right? And that magic moment where the buyer and the seller understand each other, and yeah, business continues, and it's fantastic.
Well, I think this has been super helpful, and I know for the listeners that a majority of them are small, medium like business, and so I think they will find this really useful. Where can they find you if they want to chat?
Funnily enough, businesssales.com.au. It's
on the shirt.
Yeah. It's definitely that's anywhere you can find us online. Yep. Personally, I mean, I have a LinkedIn account, but yeah, it's Kieran at businesssales.com.au. Not that hard.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to help and answer any questions about selling a business.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for your time.
No worries at all.
It's nice to chat in this context, actually, because usually we just talk shit in other ways. So anyway, it's good. Thanks for your time, listeners. We'll be back next week with another topic. Couldn't tell you what it is, but much love. Chat soon. See ya.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glenn James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds financial services license 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.